Hello, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Meaningful Marketer podcast. I'm Mia, and this is Grace, and we have cozy marketing chats all about how we can make marketing more bite sized and meaningful so we can actually show up and start doing it and
Yes.
achieve our dreams, that we're trying to do, but also so we can make it more purposeful and actually really connect with people because that's what good marketing is all about. And I feel like we've lost that over time. So we're bringing it back to that. And today we're giving you a bite sized social media plan because so often what we try to do with things is we try to be consistent and really, really great at something right from the get go. And then you get really demotivated when you're doing something and you're not great at it.
True.
So your first goal needs to be consistency. And so we are going to talk a little bit about that, but we're also going to talk a little bit about what are things you can do to start being consistent and how can you take those little bitty steps. And something that inspired this on my part on something I'm trying to do is exercising more. I started walking more. Now I'm trying to exercise more. And I realized I've always had this pride thing. And I feel like it goes into anything we do, whether it be social media, exercise, eating well, taking up a hobby, creating art, whatever it is. We have this thing where we dive into it and we have a bit of a pride to us of, I want it to be really good, or I don't want to do this halfway thing, or, whatever. And so for so long, I really looked at working out like, no, I'm not going to do a 10-minute workout. That's not going to do anything. So then what do? I try to go straight into 30 minutes to an hour. And God knows I can't do a 30-minute to an hour workout. And it's the same with social media so often. And so many other things that we do is we try to go in, I'm going to post 7 days a week,
Yep.
twice a day, or I'm going to make these big productions, or doing an email list. And then you're like, I'm going to send out an email every single week and I'm going to do a different theme or, for every single email rather than making one and using it as
Yeah.
a template. So then what that ends up doing is it just creates burnout.
Yep.
It makes us really disappointed in ourselves and we don't end up being consistent, showing up like we should be. And then we don't get the room to improve.
Right.
And the reason it can burn us out is because if you're trying to be consistent, do all the right things, try and brainstorm and be really good at something all at once, that's just really difficult.
It
But
is.
if you focus on being consistent and just showing up over time, it may take a month, a couple months, whatever. But over time, you're going to end up noticing things you can do better. You do want to be intentional and put time and look into what's working and not working, obviously, but you don't have to go in this full burnout of just constantly stressing over what do I need to do new, what do I need to do? What's working? What's not working? And it's going to start coming more natural. And that's kind of how it is with like the exercise thing. So I started off and I was doing 10 minutes, 13 minutes. And then I was like, you know what? I think I can do 25 minutes. So now I'm up to 25 minutes. But I never would have done that at first. I never would have been able to do
Yeah.
that. And so you have to start in that small little bit. And then you start to build confidence in yourself and you start to go, oh, I could do a little more here. Or, ooh, what
Yeah.
if I did this instead? This could do well or feel better.
Yeah. The process can feel daunting. I feel like we want to jump to the result so quickly. We have that
Mhm.
like instant gratification part of our brain where we're like, well, I want to be able to work out for an hour out the gate or I don't want to do it at all.
Yep.
But you'll hear us keep harping on bite sized marketing, right? And that's because it works. So setting yourself up with these building blocks that you can continue to kind of, build on one another, that's really what's going to be provide like a lasting result, right? Otherwise, you're going to
Mhm.
burn out quick. So you might as well start now with the bite-sized pieces and work your way towards that end goal.
Yes, because it's like you said, that instant gratification. And I think, the world we live in and everything, it hasn't helped with that very much. So we try to skip straight to being great at something, but you have to first be consistent before you can be
Yeah.
really good at something. And I think that's something that hit me lately. It's such a simple thing. It's probably a thing a lot of you might be listening to and going like, well, duh, But I heard something once where someone had said, it's a YouTuber, and he said his girlfriend was trying to get started on YouTube. And she was not getting anything out because she was trying to make great videos.
Mhm.
And so he told her, he was like, well, why don't you just try and make okay videos or even not so great videos, but your goal instead be getting 100 videos posted. And he was like, because you're probably going to make a lot more progress that way. You're
Yeah,
going to
that's good.
figure out how to be consistent and you're going to learn a lot along the way as well. So that is what this is all about. So the mindset is consistency comes before greatness.
Yes.
Make your first goal to produce a lot of something rather than to produce something amazing all the time.
Yep.
And I do think there is something to be said about quality over quantity. But I do think at first, when you're in the stage of just getting experience with something, there's almost that you want to make a lot of something first. And then, over time, you can focus a lot more on that quality over quantity. Like you don't have to constantly just be producing things all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not even saying this, you need to produce things all the time. It's just you need to get that consistency down first, or you're not going to make any progress. We all know that and we stayed stuck, right? But improvement will come through repetition. And that's kind of what we talked about earlier, where as you repeat something, you're going to notice, ooh, I could do this a little better. Well, this worked really good. But first, you have to repeat that and keep repeating it. And you have to humble yourself a little bit and, look stupid
Uncomfortable.
doing that lunge
Yeah.
or, just going back to the exercise example. Like, yeah, you're not going to look great doing it or,
Right.
doing that video. It's not going to feel good, but
You
you
got to
kind of
do
have
it.
to just go, this is the process and this
Well,
is the price to pay.
and it's like that cheesy old saying, practice makes perfect. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
again, that's a saying for a reason. We just want to bypass that so bad. And I'm right there with y'all. Like, if I could just do everything perfectly the first time, I think I would choose that route.
Yeah.
But there's so much to be learned along the way. So get uncomfortable and do the thing before you feel like you're ready to. Like, that was even us starting our business, right? We were like,
Hmm.
we just have to dive in and we're going to look cringe along the way, but there's not a way to bypass that and just instantly be successful. You have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think one of the best things that ever happened, I know for me personally, is us starting our business and us having to make money. So I didn't have time to try and make everything
Yeah.
perfect. And that was really difficult. There were so many times we sent like proposals or we did something a certain way that I was like, oh, this isn't just how I want it yet. Maybe it was good, but I was like, oh, it's not how I want it yet. But we had to go do it anyways. I'm like, well, nobody can sit around and wait on me to get this absolutely perfect. And
Same.
that
Yeah.
day's probably not actually gonna come anyways, and so, yeah, we just gotta go with it, and I think that was one of the best things, and I think that's why you hear some people talk about when you're put in a situation where you don't really have a choice, you'll see people have a lot of success from that because they're not gonna have time to second guess themselves, and that's why now, this is something that, like, we're supporting ourselves with, and I truly believe if we would have been able to kinda dip our toes in and just kinda tiptoe, we would not be in a position now to where our business supports us and this is like our full-time job. We don't all have the opportunity to make decisions or to do things that make it kind of do or not do or die. That's a bad thing, but a do or, something bad's going to happen. But I do think that that can be a real big motivating factor. If there's another way you can kind of mock up, oh, I just have to do this, I do think that that's a really great thing because
Yeah.
I do think that helped us a lot with our business. And that is how we learned all the things we know is we just got in and did it and we repeated it a lot of times. We improved along the way and we got there. It wasn't all didn't always look exactly how we wanted it though. So when it comes to actually doing the bite-sized things, here's a couple tips for you to just get started. And you can watch some more of our videos to go into all of these deeper. Make sure to go look back at other videos we've made because we've got a lot of good info, but this is going to give you a good starting point. So, the first thing to think about is with ideas. I think so often we're creatives and we have these huge ideas and we want it to be like life changing. We want it to be original. At first, we just don't need to reinvent the wheel. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. You just have to customize the wheel to like your vehicle. You just need to
Ooh,
take it and customize it a little bit.
that's good.
And so what I think we're trying to do all the time is, yeah, just reinvent the whole thing, like come up with, brand new ideas all the time. And it's exhausting. And then you burn out and then you don't give yourself opportunities to learn. Like we just need to look at what is working. It's in front of our eyes all the time on social media and all over the place. And then how can we customize that to us? How can we put our own little bitty twist on it? And then over time, you're going to get more creative ideas. One of the best ideas I ever had in my professional life was the job that me and Grace had before. I was like, let's make a Facebook group. And creating a Facebook group for people online was not a revolutionary idea. Like other stores were doing it, other people were doing it. But we took it and we did our own twist on it and made a community that really impacted people and people wanted to be a part of. And that
Yeah.
had a huge impact on our business. But that was not something that I just, it's not like I was the first one to think of that. Like,
Right.
but it ended up being huge. And it's because I already looked at these are things that are working for other people. Now, how can we take that and then how can we
Make it
customize
ours.
that to us and make it
Yeah.
special to us? And it's the same with when you're making content, when you're coming up with ideas for your business, like look at what's working. And I'm not saying go and copycat everybody, but I'm saying look at what's working and then how can you
Yeah.
put your own twist on what's working and kind of let go of the pride a little bit of I need to invent everything and make it original because you're just going to burn out. And it's
Yep.
so tempting when you have your own business and you're doing your own thing to constantly do that. And over time, you probably will have a really original idea, but you don't have to all the time. So have a saved folder on Instagram or wherever you can save things and just save things as you see them. And then how can you put your own little spin on them? And then maybe once a week, have some board time, have some time to be alone with your own genius. And, that's going to help you customize things to you and
Yeah.
maybe come up with a really original idea. But make sure to have that. I'm looking at what's working and I'm just, replicating it in my own unique way, but also then have that time to kind of be alone with your own thoughts because you will think of things and see things in a way that no one else can. And that's going to make you really special and stand out to
That's your
people.
magic. Yeah.
For the content, I was talking to someone the other day and they were talking about how it takes them a really long time to make content and it's really daunting. And, they have these big ideas. Honestly, if you have a big idea, do it like once a month or something. Allow yourself one big production a month if that's your desire. I'm going to be honest, I don't desire to make any video a big production. That's just not me. Some people love it. They love the process or they have an idea they want to get out. That's fine.
Sure.
Not every video needs to be a big production. It can be simple. So maybe set yourself a day. I know people who pick a day a week, a day a month, an hour of each day, whatever that looks like for you. And then create yourself like a list of the content you're going to make. So, like, I have an example here. You're going to get 3 tiny snippets of your day that aren't of you, that you're shipping and you're getting the labels coming out, or, 3 snippets that aren't of you, 2 to 3 B-roll videos of you
Mhm.
with your product, using your product, doing things in your business, whatever that is. 2 to 3 selfies. Selfies are something people do not talk enough about because you're going to be sitting on the couch and you're going to have your pimple patch on and your hair in a bun. You're going to want to post a story and you're not going to want to really show up. And so you're not going to post a story and you're going to miss an opportunity. But if you have like just a whole folder of selfies, that's
That
going to be great. Just go pick your selfie out.
that is the one thing that I find myself asking, begging really clients for over and over again. And I feel like some of them are just like, why? Like, why would you need another picture of my face? That's not interesting. But the way that you can remix that and use it for different things, like, yeah, don't underestimate the power of a selfie still. Like,
Nope.
do it on a day where you feel great and get several, like anytime you do feel cute, like Mia said, that'll
Yeah.
save you from pulling your hair out when you have your pimple patch on, which let's be honest, that's most of us or
Most of us
whatever.
most of the days.
Yeah.
Like, we're not camera ready. And one tip, that I tell a lot of people is I'm like, try and have a self-care routine each day where you do feel like if, you don't have to be all made up, but where you would be like, oh, I could take a quick picture, I could capture this moment. And that's great in an ideal case scenario if you can set yourself up with the self-care routine that you feel like that. But you are going to have the days, or maybe you're someone that just is like, I want to enjoy working for myself and having my pimple patch on and no makeup and my hair slicked back. And I don't really want to show up on Instagram like that. Well, then have a selfie bank so you don't miss the opportunity to still show up, which also I want to say, if you have your pimple patch on and your hair slicked back, you can still show up that way
Yeah,
too.
you can.
But I
And
just
people
know
will
most of
love
us
that.
don't want to.
Right, right.
But then maybe do a goal one short talking video. So if you once a week took an hour and got these things, don't overcomplicate it. Gut feeling, like first thing that comes to mind, I'm on the computer, video real quick, I'm eating video real quick, or I'm using my product, like just 1 hour, I'm just going to be presentable. I'm going to feel good about myself and I'm going to get this list of content. And then over time, again, the more you do that, you're going to be like, ooh, that video turned out really good. I need to put that on my list to make each week, but you have to give yourself that point. I'm kind of in the process right now of trying to set myself a day where I'm just going to batch a bunch of content.
Yeah.
So then when I'm ready for it, I'm ready for it. So the action, pick one time to post. Do not go crazy with, oh, I need to post this time. One time. And that's going to be what we have personally is we have a morning time and then we have a like plan B evening time. So we know if we can't post in the morning or we miss that slot, we have the evening time post, but we try to like hit the morning post as often as we can. So, and then start off with 3 days. Challenge yourself to 3 days to post. That's great. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, take your weekend off. Don't go crazy with it, but could you commit to 3 days to post? With this, I think you can. And if it's a little bit of a challenge for you, that's okay. Like, we want to challenge ourselves a little. When I'm doing these workouts, I'm getting to some of the points. I'm not pushing myself to the point where I'm like throwing up, but like I have in the past pretty much. But like I'm pushing myself where sometimes I'm like, I can do one more, or, I can do this. So
Yeah.
like give yourself that little bit of challenge if it just feels a little bit, but still feels doable, I think. And that's kind of been something for me that I'm like, I want to challenge myself a tiny bit, but I want it to feel doable so I can feel empowered doing it. But I want it to be a little hard, you know?
Well, and that's something that our business coach, Angie, has reminded us of so much over the years. Like, set a goal that's attainable enough that you'll actually try to achieve it
Mhm.
versus setting your goal so far out of the stratosphere that you don't really have a great chance
Yeah.
realistically of hitting it. There is this whole psychological component to that. Like, you do need to set goals that you can meet with. You push yourself a little bit, that's fine. But don't be like, I'm going to post twice a day, 7 days a week. A, that's overkill, and B, that's the quickest way to burn yourself out to where you're not
Mhm.
posting at all. Because usually with things like that, it's an all or nothing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, be realistic. You can always build on it, but give yourself a chance at success, and it'll feel really good when you're able to hit that.
Yeah. And again, we have to become consistent before we can become great. It's
Yes,
part of the process. And that's what I'm learning. So focus on being consistent for Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can be good with that, and you can prove to yourself that you can build your confidence there. We build our confidence by showing up for ourselves, keeping our promises to ourselves, and doing those little bitty things. And you start to get more confident. And then you'll be like, oh, you know what? I can do one more video for the week, and it'll be easier. And if it's challenging for you to do 1 day a week, start there. So, like, I have you, a little outline here that we just gave one time, 3 days a week. But if that's too challenging for you, back that up just a little bit and work up to that. And that is going to make a difference.
it
Just
is.
trust in the process and over time, give yourself little challenges along the way. And then the intention, have one goal first, and that goal should be awareness and connection. Forget the rest for now. Just focus on how am I getting people seeing my content? I don't want you to worry about anything else. So often we have people going, well, I don't know where to start, or like there's so many analytics to look at or things to worry about. If you're just getting started and you don't have a really good social media plan, or you feel like your social media plan isn't strong, your first goal is just, I want to get more eyes on my content. I want to see those views and that reach creep up. And that's all you need to worry about. And then over time, you'll see things where you're like, oh, okay, this one got a lot of views and it also got a lot of follows, or, it got more engagement, and you'll start to notice those things. And then review one time monthly. You do not need to be looking at your social media analytics all the time. You are going to burn out. You're going to get depressed. So just one time a month. You really don't need to be reviewing your social media more than one time a month. But the point is that you do not need to be looking at it all the time. Because I know people, they post something and then they're like, how many likes does it have? I want to even challenge you. We did something once that was like, don't peek, don't peek,
Yeah, yeah.
no peeking post challenge or something. And it was just like, you're not allowed to look at any of it all month until the end of the month. So you're
Mhm.
still reviewing it, you're still looking at what's working, but you're not allowed to do that except once a month. If that's helpful, then do that. And when you do it, start off with picking one thing to look at. So you can, pull your best performing posts and everything, but before you start to get really overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, this analytic and this thing and that, pick one thing. So again, to start off, reach, views, especially non-follower views, and you can see those on your posts. Looking at what is getting me to more non-followers, but overall, just what is getting the most reach and views.
Right.
Focus on that first, because if you start going, oh, I'm this, you cannot try and achieve like 6 goals at once, especially when you're just getting started and you're going to feel really overwhelmed. That is a few little bite-sized ways that you can start showing up consistently. But remember, again, before we can be great, we have to be consistent, and just find ways to enjoy the journey along the way, romanticize it. Like one thing I started doing was working out. I love music, but sometimes, do you ever just get in a mood where you're like, I just don't want to listen to music, or, it's just not motivating me. So I've been loving listening to audiobooks. So I was like, why don't I just try listening to my audiobook while I'm working out instead? And that has made me so much happier because I get excited to listen to my
That's
audiobook.
crazy because I started doing that too. We
Really?
didn't even talk about that. Yeah,
It's like, I
it's a
don't know,
treat.
it feels so much more motivating, especially if in the audiobook, sometimes there might be someone in it, because I like the fantasy stuff, and so the girl's like training or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I want to be able to run away from a zombie or something. I don't know, if it ever came to it. So I'm gonna get strong for that or whatever. But I don't know, yeah, just whatever you can do to romanticize it. The person whose workouts I've been doing, like, she's like, turn on Netflix, get a cozy cup of tea. She's really big about make it cozy and fun. It doesn't have to be this like gym bro, kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with that if any of you, out there are like that. But that's not everyone's vibe. And so it doesn't have to look one way. And social media doesn't have to either. And I think that's where we get stuck. So listen to, your feelings, listen to where you're at, the season you're at. Follow these things to help keep you more consistent. And over time, you're going to find a routine that feels really good. And then you're going to be able to be consistent. And then once you get that consistency down, you're going to be able to start getting really good at it. And it
Yep.
just is all a part of the process, even though, like Grace said, we'd love to skip to the part where it's perfect and we're really good at it. But also, like, what kind of people would we be
Right.
if that was the case, as cheesy as that sounds?
No,
So
it's true.
embrace the journey and find ways to find joy in the season you're in right now and just focus on that consistency thing first, because we can't skip
That's the
that
key.
before we get good at something. Stay tuned every week. We post another episode every single Friday. We are over here cheering you on, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye,
Bye,
y'all.
y'all.